I'm Danny Otto. Welcome into an all-new episode of That Recap Show. Now, before we get into the episode, just wanted to issue major spoiler alert. We are going to be going over everything that happened in episode 5 of the Agatha All Along series. So if you haven't watched that episode yet, you may want to pause this video, head over to Disneyplus, check out that episode, and then come back and enjoy the breakdown. Now, with that out of the way, let's start the show.
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.
All right, joining with me to break down everything from episode 5 of the Agatha All Along series, it's Jon Jon Rico.
Hello.
Hello.
I was gonna say something witch related, but then I just had to go with just hello.
I thought maybe you were gonna try to use the Ouija board to spell out hello.
No, that would have been dangerous. You can't do that.
Yeah, you can't do it by yourself.
Yeah.
We can't hold our hands on the planchette virtually or like together. You can't do it by yourself. You can't let go.
The rules weren't made with technology in mind, so we can't make up.
There is look, if we could do a separate series on spooky shit if we really want to. There are like virtual Ouija apps like that people are now saying like you can talk to some scary shit.
The tech ghosts. Yeah.
The tech ghosts.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. Maybe down the line we'll do some spooky shit for a little side project. But in the meantime, episode 5 of the Agatha All Along series. That's why we're here. It is spooky season though, but and this just got us. It got me more in the spirit of spooky seasons and all puns intended, talking about spirits after this episode. But there's so much to unpack from this episode, which is fun, and gives us plenty of stuff to talk about. And you know, looking at the rundown, there's so many more things that we could have put on this rundown. We could talk so much longer on this thing. I'm gonna kick it off with one scene that I genuinely laughed at. And I was telling you before we even started recording, I just thought the reaction was perfect, and it just made me giggle like on the spot. And it was the scene when Agatha first like legitimately gets possessed, because we get a fake Agatha possession, and then we get a real Agatha possession, because the first one she pretends that she's Mrs. Hart.
Oh my, what a journey.
Yeah, that was funny.
AKA Sharon, and that spot on like version of that. I thought that was perfect. For a second I was like, oh shit, we're gonna get closure with Sharon.
Yeah, I was kind of like Lily, where she was like kind of buying into it at first, and then everyone's just kind of like, oh, she's fucking around with us.
Yeah, it was Rio who actually said she's fucking with us.
Yeah, and I like Agatha. She's like, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, and what leads me to my favorite scene, because Rio's the one to call her on the fake possession of Sharon, is when Agatha actually gets possessed. Rio's first reaction was, she's faking it. And then she finally gets a good look at her, and she goes, it's real. She's real.
Yep.
I love that reaction.
Yeah, it was really funny.
Oh, but there's so much to talk about. I don't want to, I don't want to waste any more time. Rigo, what were some of your instant reactions for episode 5?
Yeah, this is like I like that we're moving things like along pretty like a nice pace here. One, we got to Agatha's trial right away, which I thought was really cool. I wasn't expecting us to get to like a trial based around her so quickly. And I like that it ties up some stuff from WandaVision at the same time as well, when it brings in like her mother's ghost and all of that, because we got that one scene from WandaVision where we saw her basically killing her old witches and her mother and her coven, basically. Right. So yeah, now I'm wondering if that was actually the same actress from the show. That have to go back into WandaVision and see that now. But but keeping with like the WandaVision theme, I love that we're jumping through decades through like the trials too. Yeah. Obviously we've gotten like our 60s kind of like home wife kind of thing, kind of like Mrs. Hart, themed, and then we got the 70s house, which is pretty awesome for Alice and Lorna Wu and all that. And then now we got, of course, we got like this kind of 80s kind of like summer camp kind of vibe, or like
Sleepover, yeah, sleepover.
sleepover, summer camp kind of a thing. It kind of felt like almost like a camp cabin because of like the way the cabin or like the trial house just like looked in general,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool. Oh, or just like a witch's hut too. But yeah, I like the way that we're kind of doing that. And now I'm wondering how, like, with how they're gonna play in, like, Lilia and Jennifer's trials, 90s. But I imagine that Liz is going to probably be more throwback because she's probably got a little bit more like ancient ties with her character as far as we see him from her flashbacks and stuff. But one of my favorite things that, keeping with like the 80s nostalgia of like this whole episode was when we got the witches flying on the sticks scene here, which was pretty cool. I always like when they kind of call out like the cliche stuff as they're doing it too, and then like you're like, okay, just embrace it, you're gonna do it, and let's do it. But when they one of my favorite shots I think of the series so far is actually when they fly up and it's them flying in the silhouette of the moon. And right away I immediately think of E.T. when Elliot is flying with E.T. on the bike, of course. It's obviously also the logo for the studio that ended up making it too. I think it might be Amblin. Yeah, Amblin. But yeah, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I just like when they do cool nods like that make you think of other things from the past, especially a great movie like E.T. And the way they can kind of just put their own little spin on it. And yeah, I just thought this was a cool thing, and we got some really cool things that move the story forward as well. So this was a pretty interesting episode overall.
Absolutely, totally agree. I had the same vibes. I was like, this is perfect. Not only like E.T. and the cliche, like they were like exactly like you said, they were calling it out, but I mean, E.T. is an 80s movie also, so like it just exactly with the theme in general, and that was before we even got to the trial house, so it was almost like a precursor to that. But yeah. Do you want to talk about some of the reveals? You want to get to some big takeaways?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome! All right, I'm going to kick off big takeaways with no surprise at all, because this has been one thing that I've been talking about already in every single episode. Boom! Big reveal. The very end, we get, it's not, I guess, the official confirmation. No one called him that. But we pretty much, without a shadow of a doubt, have the identity of the teen, which is officially Wanda's son, Wiccan.
Yeah, it's who we thought it was all along, as Agatha was saying.
Well, I in that scene, it was a really cool scene actually, and we were talking about this, before we started recording, where we kind of, it was such a weird, quick flip from the scene, the previous scene, which right. R.I.P. We had another trial, another death, basically.
Yeah.
And we had Agatha's demeanor shift really quick. And what I was wondering, and this is what we were talking about, right before we started recording, was that flip because in her head she was kind of going back and forth, just like us, just like the audience, just like us, where it could have been, 50%, it could have been her son, and she
talking about Agatha.
Yeah. Sorry, what did I say?
You just didn't mention anybody.
Oh yeah, I'm talking about Agatha. I apologize.
Yeah,
Agatha's demeanor, and all this time, Agatha's had this kind of soft spot we've seen for teen, and so I'm wondering now if, because of the scene where we actually, like, right before the very end, we get the reveal of teen and slash Wiccan. Agatha's demeanor shifts so quickly. I'm wondering if in her head, just like in all of our heads, this whole time it's been like a 50-50. This could be my son. This could be, Wiccan, or, Billy, I guess, is how she would have known him as from the WandaVision series. But it's just really interesting that shift, and everything happened so fast at the very end. But yeah, I'm really curious on how they're going to expand on that, and how they're going to explain, that really quick shift for Agatha in general, like demeanor wise, and everything moving forward. Like, it's just going to be, the rest of the series is going to be very interesting to me, because we got one of the bigger reveals right now, which I know you were saying you really appreciate that we kind of got that like kind of early, but like, it's interesting because now it's like we have a few episodes to kind of see what this affects moving forward. And I'm really curious to see that. Before I get too far, Rico, what were some of your big takeaways for this episode?
Yeah, we got the reveal. That team is Billy Kaplan. I'm not sure if he goes by Billy Kaplan, Billy Maximoff in this universe. Of course, that's a lot of questions I have just regarding Billy's just existence here in general. Because one, his existence in WandaVision was purely in Wanda's head. Essentially, they were creations of Wanda. And then the other times that we saw them were in another multiverse. So I don't like. I can't believe that there's a version of Billy in the 616 universe that was already existing with Wanda here. That doesn't really add up to me. So yeah, I really hope we get that question answers more specifically. I think that's one thing I'm very curious of, is like how they're gonna work that whole thing. And maybe he is from a different universe, and of course that maybe his version of Wanda did die, but not this. Like it's not our Wanda, of course. So he's still got like that same kind of like mission that he's on personally. But yeah, I just think that was a very interesting. I like that they did it now, because when we heard about the character in the first place, everyone was like, yeah, this is Wiccan. Like he's playing. Everyone was pretty convinced that that's what he was playing to begin with. And then the show kind of started presenting options that he might not possibly be him.
Right.
So it obviously was allowed to kind of like let us think about that for a second, especially with the idea of the Nicholas Scratch character, who I'll talk about in a second here. But yeah, I just thought that was I'm glad it happened now, because now it means we have 4 episodes to really like bring out some really cool reveals now. Especially a Nicholas Scratch character, maybe someone for teen Billy. I guess we can call him Billy now. But like to go head to head with like another kind of like male a warlock, I guess, is the male witch, right? So like they can go head to head. So it'd be Nicholas Scratch versus Billy Maximoff. That would be kind of a cool little showdown to see those two go down, and then maybe you'll have something between Agatha and Rio as well. And we also have like, but also we have the Salem 7, who are like, the other kind of like the big bads here that we have to worry about for now. I feel like they're like the henchmen to like another big bad that's still out there that we haven't seen yet. But something that I thought was really interesting in this episode in regards to the Salem 7 is, I think it was maybe Jennifer or Lily, I can't remember which one that said it. But they were basically talking about them, and they were basically saying that they're, I think they said they were like the kids of the witches that Agatha killed, which I think is a very interesting thing when you talk about like what she did with her own son Nicholas. And then in the comics, of course, Nicholas Scratch, this is some very interesting stuff here. But I think that some like there's some stuff that they can tie in there that's going to have some big ramifications in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really curious to see, how everything's gonna, come about. And just like you said, now that we have 4 more episodes to kind of expand on everything that's happened in this episode and all the reveals that have already happened and stuff like that, it's gonna, they have a lot of time to kind of, let us slowly, I guess, get some more like information and stuff like that. It's not like, oh, next week's the finale. Like we've got some time, which is really cool. I'm really curious. The other thing is, I'm wondering if like, how crazy would it be if we found out that, Teen somehow knew Nicholas Scratch? Like, how did Teen know to go to Agatha's house in the first place in episode 1? Like, what if Teen and Nicholas Scratch have been like together, I guess, like type of thing? Because Teen did talk about a boyfriend in the first episode.
Right. Yeah. And that also was kind of helping line up with the whole Billy theory too, because in the comics, of course, Billy is known to be gay. He's also he's married to Hulkling, who's like a changeling kind of a character.
Oh, wow.
So when I kind of saw him in there, I can be like, oh yeah, I think that's definitely got to be Billy, because I don't think Nicholas Scratch is known to be gay, but I don't really know much about Nicholas Scratch. They can do whatever they want with him, probably, in my opinion. And they very well could do that in this case too.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see, any threads that connect moving forward. It's going to be really cool to kind of see how everything unfolds. But you want to get to some predictions?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, why don't you kick off predictions? There's so much to predict, I guess, moving forward after this episode. So take it away.
Yeah, so one, I had to stop myself during my takeaway because I was starting to dive into my prediction territory here. But as you were talking just now, I did think of something else that's a possible story possibility that would be very interesting as well. But getting to my original point, well, basically, like in okay, so in the comics, Nicholas Scratch is known to be the basically the leader of the Salem Seven, or like the father of the Salem Seven, essentially.
Mhm.
So I would imagine with him being the child that Agatha gave away, and then them being the children of the witches that Agatha's killed or throughout her life. It just kind of seems like it makes all the sense. It just seems like he's the one that probably either got them all together, or
Yeah.
and is possibly the one that sent them after Agatha to begin with. First of all, we didn't really talk about the creepy scene where they're walking through the road and just kind of saying Agatha's name in a creepy like whisper voice.
Yeah.
More the creepy elements of the show that I just really love. They've been really killing it with the horror elements for sure. But yeah, I think that is something I think could be very like doable that they can do within the show, is having Nicholas Scratch be the leader of the Salem Seven. That's just like a really cool, like kind of a side boss there for them to deal with, because I feel like they could also at the same time be the agents of Mephisto at the same time. Like we've heard Mephisto name dropped. This could still be an avenue where he's still like the one pulling all these
Mhm.
strings, as manipulating all these people emotionally. And something that you just mentioned, the idea that maybe like Nicholas Scratch and Billy maybe know each other in some form. Maybe this universe, or whatever universe that Billy is from, maybe he maybe knew how to get to Mephisto to begin with. Maybe he already knew Nicholas Scratch, and maybe that was like Nicholas Scratch was like the middleman to Mephisto, and maybe it was like, hey, will you bring back my mom and make a deal for you? I bring you Agatha or something like that. That could be a pretty dope like kind of storyline for them to explore, I feel like. And yeah, that's another reason why I feel like doing this reveal now is good, because you set up so many ways that they can like uh just set up a bigger story that we probably
Right.
weren't expecting the show to have to begin with.
Yeah. So in your theory, I just want to make sure we spell this out in case it actually happens. In case it actually happens, in your theory, we could technically get our Wanda back if Billy trades back Agatha.
Wanda. Oh, Wanda. Because I don't know what universe this Billy is from. And who knows what version of Wanda was like that body we saw in that fake reality or whatever. Like, is that supposed to be the one from the Multiverse of Madness? Like, I think that's the interesting part here, is that there's so many different versions of Wanda they can probably bring back. If it may not be this version, like the one that we knew, but we could get some version of Wanda back that maybe be even more dangerous or more powerful. Who knows?
Yeah. But that would be really cool because I mean, I'm sure, I'm sure it's already written in, but I'm sure the MCU writers would love a reason to be able to pull, Elizabeth Olsen back in
Oh yeah.
as the Scarlet Witch, as Wanda Maximoff, and to have, not only Wanda, but have Wiccan also like be a real character in the MCU moving forward. Because I mean, we have plenty of rumors, and I mean, kind of even confirmed rumors now of the Young Avengers, because we had Kamala, recruiting
Oh
Kate
yeah, we're
Bishop.
constantly seeing
So
younger versions of each of our beloved Avengers popping up now, and it
yeah,
seems like an inevitable group up at some point.
yeah. So we need Wiccan. We know Hulkling exists too.
Yeah, Scar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean we got a lot of evidence that the Young Avengers are around. So I mean this would be pretty cool if we could do that. And there's always been rumors of like a standalone Scarlet Witch movie too. So
Yeah, they've always wanted to do one, and she seems like the perfect character to get a movie like that too. It seems like that's what they wanted Multiverse of Madness to be, but
right.
they just couldn't make it like a Wanda movie. They had to kind of sell the Doctor Strange title. But yeah, I want to see them like take a chance on one of these other characters, like even like a character like Falcon, who's like he's getting his own movie, but he's still getting it under the Captain America moniker. I would like them to get like I want to see some more movies where we're getting some of these heroes getting like their names as like the title here, like. Yeah, give me like the Scarlet Witch movie, and like just like I want to see like, hey, you're gonna go see the Scarlet Witch? Like I want to like, yeah, I want to have that discussion. It's supposed to be like, hey, you're gonna see Scarlet Witch in the Avengers 2.5. It's like, but yeah, just start. That's why I also like that we get these shows too, like a
Yeah.
Moon Knight and Miss Marvel, because we do get that to agree there. But yeah, I want to get that feeling in the theater again with these solo movies too. Like that's why I love movies like Shang-Chi as well. Like we got to see like this really cool solo movie for a character that wasn't like your typical one that was getting like his fourth or fifth movie, or like they weren't just revisiting something that was already successful. So yeah, like take more chances like that.
Yeah. And I mean, touching back on that, I know you were just talking about like it'd be really cool to get kind of new like solo movie characters and stuff like that. But you just mentioned Moon Knight, and we've been talking about like kind of the creepiness and the magic side of the MCU and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. Give me team ups too.
Yeah, I would love a Midnight Suns.
Midnight Suns, 100%.
Even if it was a featured presentation, like we have so many options.
Yeah,
now
we're getting
now
Thunderbolts, which is great. We can get Young Avengers. Like, yeah, there's great teams you can do as well. Yeah, exactly. I think a mix and match of both is great. I just hope that like some characters aren't just limited to just the group setting as well. Yeah, I think that's more my point. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, kind of just going right off your prediction, just like we've kind of said this entire recap. There's so much that happened, and we got that big reveal now. I have no idea where we go from here. I mean, we have, teen / Wiccan on a warpath basically has kind of launched everyone, not just Agatha, off the road, and they've all been sucked into the quicksand, quick mud, whatever that is.
What's on the bottom end there? I always feel like it's like they think it's like a bottomless pit, but I think that they're gonna like just fall down to like.
I'm wondering if it's the next trial. Yeah. I'm wondering if they're just gonna be transported into the next kind of house thing.
Yeah,
and that's what it's gonna be, type of thing. But I'm also wondering, where does Wiccan go from here? Like, did he do that? In a moment of frustration, he realized he had the powers. Has he been playing this con all along? Like, there's so many questions in general, but there's so many questions just about teen / Wiccan type of thing. Like, what has he been playing everybody all along? Did he just figure this all out type of thing? Because I mean, we have plenty of examples where a character first, like their frustration, they all of a sudden break that through. Like mostly like in X-Men movies where like their power finally shows through in a moment of great distress or something like that, and they accidentally overuse their power. Yeah. And so like I'm wondering if the next thing that we see is him going, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry!" Like, and then he goes to try to save.
Yeah, like he's in a trance or something.
Right. Something like that. So yeah, there's so many questions in a good way. Like I'm really excited for the next episode. I cannot wait to see what happens just in general now that we have, a lot more to work with.
Yeah. And he was the first one to see the Salem 7 in the second episode before they get onto the road, because he was up top looking.
Yep.
And then I know that I think Jennifer mentioned, because they talk about the whole whispering thing, and like she describes and then Billy's like he describes them like what they were wearing. He goes, yeah, that basically. So like now that they're kind of like stuck in the quicksand mud area, and now he's up there all by himself, he could be the one that interacts with them first. And now we don't know what that interaction is going to be like now too, especially now we know he has powers as well. So yeah, that's going to be an interesting kind of first confrontation if we get that.
Yeah, there's so many questions. There are no wrong answers. I cannot wait until next week. So it's gonna be a long week worth of waiting, and so many theories to read and watch online in the meantime. But as we always say, that's what we think. Let us know in the comments below. What did you think of episode 5? And what do you think happens moving forward? Whose side is Wiccan on? Whose side is Nicholas Scratch on? Are we going to get more like talk of Mephisto moving forward? There's so many questions. Let us know in the comments below. What are you most interested in seeing, not only for the next episode, but in the next 4 episodes before this series wraps? And as always, don't forget, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to hear about all of our latest audio and video podcast releases. Bye, everybody!
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.